Hello everyone, and welcome to a new lesson. Today we'll get to know the Slovene names of the different family members. Luckily, the Slovene family is linguistically quite straightforward, and much like the English family. I say luckily because in other Slavic languages like Macedonian or Serbo-Croatian, it's much more complex. There are different names for the same family member depending on whether he or she belongs to the father's side or the mother's side of the family. Taking it one step further, in Chinese for example, it's even more complex since age is added to the equation as well. For example, there's one word to denote older sister and another for younger sister. Well, in Slovene there is no such distinction. An uncle is an uncle no matter his age in relation to other family members, and no matter whether he is the father's brother or the mother's brother. The only difference is that in Slovene we have separate terms for female cousin and male cousin, whereas in English, by saying cousin, you don't know whether it's a he or a she. A bit of a heads up before we start. We won't be covering all possible ways of referring to your family members. There are a lot of words that denote the same relation, either due to the level of formality or due to dialects. Of course, there are several ways of saying father and several ways of saying mother, depending on the context. There are big regional differences as well, and since Slovene is a language rich in dialects, we won't even try to go there. We'll try to list the most common words used in Standard Slovene, or, when talking about colloquial Slovene, words that are used in the capital Ljubljana. Starting off with mother and father. Mother is mama in Slovene, and father is oče. These are the most neutral ways of saying mother and father, and the ones you should remember first. Mami is a bit less formal than mama, but used very commonly by people of pretty much all ages to refer to their mother. It sounds similar to the English mommy, but it's used differently. In Slovene, it's not unusual for an adult to refer to his or her mother as mami, and in English it would be weird for an adult to say mommy. So, when an adult uses mami, it's closer to the English mom or mother, and if we're talking about a small child, then the same word can be translated as mommy, of course. Oči is one of the ways of saying dad or daddy. Similar to mami, it can be used by adults as well, although I think it's a bit less frequent. Still, oči in that case is again closer to dad than daddy, which is why I put both mommy and daddy in brackets. Mami and oči are both used by people of different ages and not just children. Also, pay attention to the pronunciation. If we stress the I instead of O, so oči instead of oči, we get the plural of I or oko. Oči is dad, and oči is eyes. I don't know what the best translation of mut is. It's sort of like the English ma. It's basically a somewhat derogatory way of saying mother. Perhaps not even derogatory, but definitely marked. Mut is how most teenagers refer to their mother when talking to peers, but adults use it as well. It depends on the person in question and of course the context. Vater is the counterpart of mut, and it's of German origin. Slovene has a lot of words of German origin that are used very frequently, but almost always in informal settings. Vater is one of them. The E is pronounced as a schwa, so it's Vater and not Vater. In German, father is Vater, with the V pronounced as an F, so it's easy to see how Vater came about. Since it's so similar to the English father, it's easy to remember. Just keep in mind it's a marked way of saying father, somewhat similar to the English my old man. It's also frequently used by teenagers, but as opposed to mut, it's used much more often by adults as well. It has the additional connotation of being old or rather middle-aged, so men can jokingly say that they've become a vater, either to say that they're now a parent or to point out that they've gotten old in some respect. Sin is easy to remember since it's a vowel away from being the English son. And chci shouldn't be hard to remember since it's the family member that'll give you the most trouble when trying to pronounce it. So it'll definitely stand out, albeit in a bit of a negative way. On that note, whenever a word is difficult to pronounce, break it down into individual sounds and take things really slow. If you try to speak fast at the cost of not pronouncing as well as you could be, it'll be more difficult to change the pronunciation later on. On the other hand, if you take things really slow and are sure to do your best at pronouncing the words, then in time speed will come on its own. So take things slow and first say and then chi, chi, chi. Then slowly try to combine them into chi, 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 chi. Moving on to brother and sister. Brother is brat and sister sestra. You can see the similarity between both English and Slovene words. Brat in Ljubljana is often pronounced with the schwa, so brat instead of brat. The Slovene word for brotherhood or fraternity, for example, is bratovščina, and we don't really have a word for sorority. There are no Greek letter fraternities and sororities in Slovenia, so even the word bratovščina is less common and not used as often. Also, like in English, a male member of a monastic order is a brat or brother, and the female member sestra or sister. Sestra in Slovene can also be a short form of medicinska sestra, which is nurse. In contexts where it's obvious we have a nurse in mind, we can simply say sestra instead of medicinska sestra. The words for brother and sister in Slovene are similar to the words for female and male cousin, so next time we'll continue with that. For today, let's recap what we've learned. Mama in oče, mama in oče. Mami in oči, mami in oči. Mt pa foter, mt pa foter. Sin, sin. Hči, hči. Brat, brat. Sestra, sestra. I put pa instead of in because when actually saying both mt and foter together in a phrase, mt pa foter sounds more natural to me than mt in foter. It's the same basically. Both in and pa in this case mean and. Like we said, next time we'll continue where we left off today. Till then, good luck, study hard, and aim for the stars.